welcome to the channel. I'm back to break down this 15-game MLB DFS slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Before we get into it, if you do enjoy the content at any point in this video, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. I do greatly appreciate it. It's going to help me out with the YouTube algorithm. I'll be here all MLB season long, breaking down these slates to help you guys become better MLB DFS players and help you guys win some money every night and night out. And if you are interested in playing a lot in some premium content, that's linked below in the description. You get access to my MLB package, which includes things like my starting pitcher data sheet, hot hitter Statcast data, splits leaderboard, team hitting data, bullpen data, power rankings, and my cheat sheet, all the tools that I use when creating my own lineups. And then, of course, the power rankings and cheat sheet are going to help you out a lot every night as well. So check that out if interested. And with that being said, let's go ahead and start breaking down this slate today. Don't forget to stay tuned to the end of the video for my home run call of the day. We've been on a roll with those all season long, so stay tuned to the end for that. And as always, we're going to go ahead and sort my sheet by carry. It's fantasy sports. We get points for strikeouts. We're going to figure out the top pitchers we want to play on the slate today, and then we'll get into bats. And the top guy on the slate today by far is Tyler Glasnow to get on the Toronto Blue Jays. Comes with a 36.6% K overall, a 14.2 swinging strike rate, 35.7% K rate against righties, and a 37.7% K rate against lefties. Has been really good across the board, and he's taking on a Toronto team today, which unfortunately isn't the best matchup. But there are quite a few strikeouts to go around in this lineup, and as we know, Tyler Glasnow is pretty much matchup proof at this point. Very good stuff around across the board, as you mentioned. And the K rate, the swing strike rate, all the above. And for that reason, you could argue he's the top on the slate. We're definitely going to have some other really good options on this huge slate today, but 11K on FanDuel over on DraftKings, they're going to price at 11.9. And he's definitely someone you can be looking to tonight. Not the best matchup, but viable. Tristan McKenzie taking on the Minnesota Twins comes in with a 32.3% K overall, 13.2 swinging strike rate. The ground ball, fly ball stuff's really not good, but he has a high K rate against righties, not so much against lefties. It does dip down to a 26.3% K rate instead of that 37.5% K rate. So we do prefer to target him against very right-handed heavy lineups if at possible. And when looking at the Minnesota Twins lineup up and down, you can see that they do have quite a few righties. It's a nice little blend in there as far as righties, lefties are concerned, but guys like Miguel Sano, Nelson Cruz, Josh Donaldson all have a decent amount of strikeouts in their bats. And then as far as the lefties are concerned, Arias doesn't really ever strike out. Polanco, Kepler, Bonark, and Rodvert have a few strikeouts in their bats, so interesting discount option. Honestly, not going to be the top guy on the slate for me. Arguably, the top guy on the slate for me is going to be this next guy, Trevor Bauer, taking on the San Francisco Giants. Has a 30.6% K overall, 12.5 swinging strike rate, 32.8% K rate against righties, and a 28.2% K rate against lefties. Very good in the ground ball, hard contact, all of those categories. And he's taking on the San Francisco team tonight, which is a great matchup for him. Plenty of upside to be had. And as far as the pitching environment is concerned, he's pitching in San Francisco, which is a very good pitcher's park, Oracle Park. Not too friendly to hitters as far as those home runs are concerned. And I really do like to target my pitchers here. So Trevor Bauer, definitely going to be probably the top option on the slate for me. Comes in as a 148 favorite, 11.8 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they're going to price at 11.9. And he's definitely in a very good spot with both ballpark and matchup, as mentioned. Carlos Rodon taking on the New York Yankees. They are a very right-handed heavy lineup. They can slug, however. Carlos Rodon does have a high K rate, and the Yankees do have a high K rate in their lineup as well. 29.9% K rate overall, a 13.6 swinging strike rate, 28.9% K rate against righties, and a 35.3% K rate against lefties. So pretty good stuff across the board, and as mentioned, this Yankee squad can be dangerous, but they also do have their fair share of strikeouts. So if you get an elite talent taking them on, they can definitely have a lot of upside, and I think that Rodon's in that spot today. It comes in at 10.4 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, he's priced at 9.9. So kind of similar to a Tyler Glasnow that we talked about. Not an ideal matchup, but an elite talent. And I would argue the Yankees are a better matchup as far as strikeout upside than the Blue Jays, possibly. But Carlos Rodon has a much less strikeout rate than Tyler Glasnow. We're talking like a 35.7% K rate for Glasnow against those righties, whereas Carlos Rodon has a 28.9%. But as mentioned, the Yankees, I think, are going to strike out a little bit more. Steven Strasburg expected to come back off the IL as far as his pitch count's concerned. We're going to have to keep an eye on that because that's very important news. He's going to start. He's thrown 75 pitches in the rehab start Sunday and tossed 55 pitches during an extended bullpen session. So I would expect him to be somewhat limited in this one. I don't know where they're going to get him up to like 80 pitches at the max, probably would be my guess. So on such a huge slate, he gets a great matchup taking on Baltimore, who does strike out a ton. But unfortunately, I think on such a huge slate, we can't really afford to pay up for him unless we know he's at a full go, because we need the full pitches out of our pitchers on this one for sure. He's only 8.3 on DraftKings or on FanDuel. They're going to price at 10.2. I think it's a little bit too much, and I think he's going to be somewhat limited based on the injury news. Aaron Nola taking on Boston. Not really all too interested to go here, honestly, based upon Boston's strikeout rate. They really haven't been striking out too much on the season. Been pretty pesky team at the plate, really solid up and down. So he does come in as a 161 favorite. He does have K upside, but as mentioned, I just feel like this Red Sox lineup could probably give him troubles, and I'm not really thinking I need to target that when we have so many other options on the slate we could talk about, like Ian Anderson taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates, 27.2% K overall, 54.1 ground ball rate, 24.2% K rate against righties, and a 31.2% K rate against lefties. Very good across the board in the ground ball, fly ball stuff, and he gets a matchup taking on a Pittsburgh team that we are definitely not afraid of. Comes in as a 200 favorite as far as Vegas is concerned, which is going to make us like him even more. He's 8-8 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they've got him priced at 10-5, and definitely on FanDuel, that's a nice discount considering he's priced all the way up to 10-5 on DraftKings. I would definitely take advantage over there on FanDuel. Comes in as a heavy favorite. There should be some K upside, and I like him on both sides, but specifically FanDuel, you're getting a nice discount on him. Chris Paddock taking on the Seattle Mariners, 25.3% K overall, 11.3 swinging strike rate, 29.4% K rate against righties, and a 21.6% K rate against lefties. Good in the ground ball, fly ball stuff, and he's taking on a Seattle team that strikes out a bunch. So definitely a matchup that we can capitalize on. He comes in as a 210 favorite tonight. In San Diego, definitely think it's going to be a good opportunity for him to both get strikeouts and the win. Only 6-3 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they have him priced at let's see here. Chris Paddock, 8-6. So once again, much more friendly price on FanDuel. That's way too cheap. He has been somewhat limited in his pitch count the last few starts. He's been right up around 80 pitches, but they've been capping him at that. And hopefully he continues to grow on his pitch count and he can go deeper into the game here, and we can definitely have some interest in him tonight. Jordan Montgomery taking on the Chicago White Sox. I'm not really looking to target the White Sox with lefties. We might be targeting him with bats. I could say the next guy that we're really looking to is Mike Minor taking on the Detroit Tigers. Another great matchup that we've been targeting all year long. 23.9% K overall, a 24.1% K rate against righties, and a 22.9% K rate against lefties. Pretty respectable across the board. Sometimes can get blown up in more difficult matchups, but taking on a Detroit team tonight, I really think that this is a great opportunity for him to excel. Comes in as a 161 favorite. He's 7-6 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, he's priced at 7-5. Priced in the mid-range. I think he's in a great spot here taking on these Detroit Tigers, and he could definitely have a big K upside game, so I like him. Alex Wood taking on the Dodgers. He's been really good, but the Dodgers just aren't really a team we look to target. Another guy that's definitely viable, and you can play him, but similar to a guy like Class Now and Aaron Nola that we talked about against Boston. Just a difficult matchup on a slate where we can pick some guys that are probably in some easier matchups and feel a little bit better about it. And the next guy I would be looking to is Marcus Stroman taking on the Miami Marlins, another team with a high K rate, 20.1% K overall, a 20.9% K rate against righties, and a 19.5% K rate against lefties. Really good across the board. The ground ball, fly ball stuff's very impressive. The K rate's not exactly the best, but when he gets to take on a Miami squad that strikes out as much as they do, we can see an inflation in those Ks, which is going to add up to everything that we're looking for our pitcher in our lineups. He should be a pretty heavy favorite in this one as well, hopefully. The Mets do have a pretty watered-down lineup, so that might not be the case, unfortunately, but definitely in a good spot here. Comes in at 8-4 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they got him priced at 9-1. So he's the next guy that I'd be looking to. And honestly, probably the last guy that I'm looking to on the slate. I'm not really looking to target anyone else as far as pitching is concerned. So with that being said, let's go ahead and transition over to bats. As always, I like to go ahead and sort my sheet by Sierra, scale on our active ERA. It's a good way of determining how good a pitcher's been so far in his career and how good he's expected to be in the future. The worst pitcher on the slate today as far as Sierra is concerned is going to be Seth Frankoff taking on the Colorado Rockies. You can see 6.84 Sierra. Really bad on the K rate, the fly ball, the ground rate, all that stuff. Has a 313 slugging given up to righties and a 500 slugging given up to lefties. A limited sample size, but has really struggled against those lefties. And he's in a course field, which is a very hard park to pitch in. As always mentioned, it's the best hitting environment in baseball. And when looking at the weather today, it's going to definitely be the best hitting environment because it looks like there's about 17-mile-an-hour winds blowing out the straightaway center, which is going to be a very scary situation for him, taking on this Rockies team today. 75 degrees. Going to be a very tough game for him. And the Arizona Diamondbacks bullpen overall is very bad. So Ramon Tapia, Trevor Story, Charlie Blackmon, CJ Cron, Ryan McMahon, pretty much everyone in this lineup. Dom Nunez at the bottom of the order has a bunch of pop for a catcher. And the Rockies are definitely going to be a tremendous stack today, so you got to like them. Jordan Holloway take on the New York Mets. You can see ground ball, fly ball stuff's pretty bad for him as well. A 20.5% K rate against righties and pretty good in the slugging, and the lefties is pretty good at the slugging as well. Seems to be a ground ball, fly ball, and most importantly, a walk issue. Has a big walk issue, so he's going to get himself in, bases loaded jams and things like that. And the Mets could definitely take advantage. So another intriguing stack. The problem is it's in Miami, which isn't the best hitting environment overall. So we're not really looking to target that ballpark all too much. You can see a lot of red going on here as far as Marlins Park is concerned. So viable option, but honestly not going to be my top stack on the slate today. Chris Flexen taking on the San Diego Padres. I think this is the first spot you could really be looking to outside of the Rockies. Ground ball, fly ball stuff's all over the bat against righties. He's about a 436 slugging. Against lefties, it's a 393 to slugging. He's actually been a lot better against left-handed hitting, yeah, and then right-handed hitting. So that's not necessarily a bad thing when you're factoring in these Padres weapons, because they do have two guys very good from the right-handed side of the plate in Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis, as we know. And then, of course, the lefties are, in good spots as well. I don't think Flexen's all that impressive overall as a pitcher. So Trent Grisham, Jake Cronenworth, Eric Hosmer, Jurickson Profar, all the above are going to be definitely viable options for you tonight. And they're another, stack you could be looking to. Martin Perez taking on the Philadelphia Phillies, a left-handed pitcher that has some really hard contact issues against right-handed hitting. With 441 slugging given up, 33.6% hard contact rate, 338 WOBA. You can see a lot of red and orange going on across the sheet there, and he's taking on a Philadelphia Phillies team tonight that does have some guys that definitely rake left-handed pitching, most notably Andrew McCutchen, Gene Segura, JT Realmuto, Rhys Hoskins, Alec Boehm. All those guys can definitely be playing, and I always say that Bryce Harper is a lot better against lefties than most people think, so you can always put him in your stacks. Of course, though, Martin Perez is pretty good against those lefties, so I'd be a little bit wary on that, to be honest. Only a 320 slugging, giving up the ground ball, fly ball stuff's all pretty green on my sheet, so a little scary there. Jeff Hoffman taking on Milwaukee is a guy that's been really bad over the last few years. 38.6% hard contact rate, 631 slugging given up to righties, 42.8% hard contact rate, and a 410 WOBA. And then against lefties, he gives up a 453 slugging, 350 WOBA against those lefties. He's just really not a good pitcher overall. So Milwaukee's definitely going to be an interesting stack today. It's in Cincinnati, as we like to call it, the Great American Small Park. It's pretty friendly hitting environment here. You can see a lot of green going on as far as triples and home runs are concerned. So we always like to target the hitters here, and it's going to be 83 degrees. So definitely some good hitting weather for these Milwaukee Brewers. Colton Wong, Lorenzo Cain, Christian Yelich is back finally, so you got to like him. Omar Narvaez, Daniel Vogelbach have a bunch of power. Avisail Garcia, Travis Shaw have a bunch of power. And as mentioned, Hoffman doesn't exactly have the top K rate on the slate, so they're definitely an interesting stack. Jose Urena taking on the Kansas City Royals, another team that's in a great spot here. A lot of hard contact given up for Jose Urena. 39.8% hard contact rate overall, a 355 slugging to righties, a 532 slugging to lefties. Really, really struggles against left-handed bats, most notably, and he's taking on a Royals team today that you could definitely be playing in tournaments. And then not to mention the Detroit Tigers bullpen is absolutely terrible, so Kansas City's in a pretty good spot here. Whit Merrifield, Carlos Santana, Andrew Benintendi, Salvador Perez, Jorge Soler, all up and down the order. Kelvin Gutierrez, Michael Taylor, Cam Gallagher to round out your stacks. Don't hate that. Tyler Anderson taking on the Atlanta Braves has been pretty good this year, but when you're looking at his numbers overall against right-handed hitting, he can struggle at times. Overall, does a very good job at limiting the hard contact, but against those right-handed hitters, a 440 slugging given up. Against lefties, a 481 slugging. And the ground ball, fly ball stuff's really bad against those right-handed hitters, so when you have some elite talent on your team like the Atlanta Braves do from the right-handed side of the plate, you can definitely be stacking up these guys today. Ronald Acuna, of course, Marcell Ozuna, Ozzie Albies rakes off lefties, Austin Riley rakes lefties, Dansby Swanson, William Contreras, Heredia. They have been striking out a lot against lefties, but they also have a lot of power against lefties, so just buyer beware there. Tyler Anderson doesn't have the highest K rate, though, so I think we can feel pretty comfortable targeting them. James Kaprielian taking on the Los Angeles Angels. We really don't have much data on this kid so far. From what we've seen, he's been really bad against lefties and really good against righties, but we've only had about an 8 innings pitch sample size, so not really sure how much we can go off that, but I will say the Angels do have a 4.75 implied run total, so they're expected to do some damage here, and they definitely have some good bats in the lineup. Shohei Ohtani, Anthony Rendon, Jared Walsh. Unfortunately, there's no Mike Trout, but those three guys, and then you can round out your stacks with the power at the bottom of the order. Kurt Suzuki, Justin Upton, all those guys. Definitely viable. And then as we continue along here, the Jorge Lopez is definitely a guy you can target. Washington Nationals are going to be in a good spot tonight for sure. Ground ball, fly ball stuff's not really good. A 441 slugging given up to righties, and really, really bad against those left-handed bats. So the Washington Nationals left-handed bats are definitely going to be in a great spot tonight. You can see they have a 5.07 implied run total. They're in Washington, which is a great hitter's ballpark. I'll pull that up for you guys real quick. Looking at the Washington Nationals ballpark, you can see a lot of green and yellow going on there. And as mentioned, Jorge Lopez really bad against lefties, and the Nationals have some lefties that have a bunch of power. Guys like Juan Soto, Josh Bell, Kyle Schwarber, really going to like that stack. Then you can round it out with Trey Turner, Starlin Castro, Josh Harrison, Yan Gomes, the rest of the order, and Victor Robles really starting to swing the bat pretty well as well if he cracks the lineup. I think he kind of rolled his ankle the other day in a game rounding first base, so hopefully he's in there. Guy with a lot of power and a lot of speed if he can get it going. He just has a major K rate issue, but I'll definitely like him tonight if he's in that lineup because I think he's, can round out that stack pretty well. Jose Quintana taking on the Oakland Athletics really struggles against right-handed hitting, a 461 slug, giving up 39.1% hard contact rate and a 342 WOBA to those right-handed hitters. And the Oakland Athletics definitely have a lot of righties that are very good from the right-handed side of the plate that we can be looking to tonight. Guys like Mark Canha, Jed Lowry, Ramon Laureano, Matt Chapman, Sean Murphy, Stephen Piscotty, Chad Pinder, Elvis Andrus. Like, this lineup breaks left-handed pitching. Definitely in a good spot. They're on the road. They're guaranteed to get that 9th inning appearance at the plate. I think they're a great stack tonight. Kyle Hendricks taking on St. Louis has been a guy that's been really struggling this season. Ground ball, fly ball stuff traditionally is really good. The hard contact stuff's really good. He just doesn't strike anyone out. And the ball's been put in play early and often against him. And there's been a lot more hard contact given up than you typically would see out of him. So I think that he's an interesting option. I think you could stack up the Cubs in the same game as well. It's in St. Louis, which isn't the best hitting ballpark, unfortunately. But I don't think that these two pitchers are the most impressive in the world this year, Kyle Hendricks and Carlos Martinez. So if you want some sneaky stacks, I don't have an issue with that. I'm going to have to dig into the pitch data as far as my final analysis on that and whether I really like it. But I feel like that could be a sneaky spot for you to go to tonight. And then lastly, as mentioned, Tristan McKenzie does really struggle against left-hand hitters. So I think these Minnesota lefties are going to be in a great spot. A 485 slugging given up overall. For 52.9% fly ball rate, 28.6% ground ball rate, really bad numbers. And yeah, I just think that you got to like the lefties here. And the Minnesota lineup doesn't have the most amount of lefties, but the ones they do can definitely rake. Most notably Max Kepler. And then we also have Jorge Polanco, who hits for the switch, and then Trevor Lenark and Ben Robert. And I said lastly there, but there is one more guy I got to mention here. Jordan Montgomery taking on the Chicago White Sox. This has been a team I've been targeting against the left-hand pitching all season long, and I don't think it's going to change here. A 517 slugging given up for Jordan Montgomery, 34.5% hard contact rate, 357 WOBA. Not the best numbers, and he's taking on Chicago White Sox team today that, as mentioned, absolutely mashes left-handed pitching. It's in Yankee Stadium, which is a great hitter's park, especially for those home runs. Holding up the diagram, you can see green across the board for the home runs in Yankee Stadium. And 74 degrees, pretty good hitting weather. And overall, just like I said, the White Sox just really mashed left-handed pitching. Tim Anderson, Nick Madrigal, Yerman Mercedes, Andrew Vaughn, Yasmani Grandal, Leury Garcia, Danny Mendick. Billy Hamilton's numbers are a lot better against lefties than righties. Every single guy in this lineup has better numbers against lefties than righties, I believe, outside of Yoan Moncada. So I just love stacking them up against lefties. Montgomery gives up a lot of hard contact. It looks like they only have a 4.25 implied run total. The Yankees do have a very good bullpen, but if they get to Montgomery early and then they're forced to throw out some, long relief arms just to get them through the game, you might not see the best talent from their bullpen. So I think that's an interesting spot to be going to tonight. And with all that being said, before I let you guys go, I got to give you my home run call of the day. Let's get into it. And my home run call of the day today, without a doubt, is going to be Juan Soto taking on Jorge Lopez. Has some major issues against left-handed hitting. A 553 slugging up those lefties, 39.5% hard contact rate, 384 WOBA. Really struggling against left-handed hitting and only a 19.9% K rate. And when looking at what he throws as far as his repertoire is concerned, really reliant on the fastball, sinker, and curveball, and Juan Soto crushes all of those. On average, throws about a 94 to 95 mile-an-hour fastball. Juan Soto features a 419 ISO with a 467 WOBA against that pitch with a 64.71 hard hit percentage. Against the sinker, Juan Soto crushes as well. A 338 ISO with a 430 WOBA, 45.76% hard contact rate, and the curveball is not an issue either for Juan Soto. Absolutely mashes a 322 ISO with a 467 WOBA. Love this spot for Juan Soto tonight, and he is my home run call of the day. So there you have it, guys. Juan Soto, get him in your lineups, and that is all from me in this one. If you did enjoy the content, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, that would be greatly appreciated. I wish you guys all the best of luck tonight, and we will see you in the next one.